So we talked about this idea of these irrefutable laws of decision making, of your choices, being intentional with your choices. Last time we talked about making decisions with tomorrow in mind. So you make decisions today with tomorrow in mind. We talked about owning your decisions and then surrounding yourself with good counselors, people who are experts in whatever decision you're trying to make. But, right, do you ever get just a little flippant about your choices? Because some choices, they're not that big a deal, right? Um, I've talked with a guy who told me that, he doesn't ever ask God about whether he's going to buy a car or not. That's his choice. So, I can appreciate that, but I think choices, big and small, should be brought before the Lord. So, how do we do that? Stick with me. I think you're going to find how God brings joy in your life through really applying this fourth law of, irrefutable law of choices. Hi, my name is Scott Gossenberger. Thanks for joining me for 7 Minutes of Truth. We're talking today about the fourth law, irrefutable law, because I think these are like you just can't say they aren't true. They're just true. They're absolutely true. Maybe not earth-shattering, but it's good to be reminded of God's truth. And it comes out of Philippians chapter 2, verse 12 and following. But let me bring you back to chapter 2 of Philippians, verse 12. Once again, I know we've kind of looked at this now 3 times. We're going to look at it again here in our 4th session. It says, "Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence." That's where we talked about this idea of owning your faith, but also getting good counselors, because Paul was their counselor when it came to faith. And then he says, "But continue to work out your salvation." Remember last time we talked about working out your salvation. It had to do with making choices today that build into your life tomorrow. And then we get to the fourth true law about choices, and that is this: with fear and trembling. So what's he saying here? Here's the fourth law: make every choice matter. Make every choice matter. And I think you will. If you apply the first 3 laws, you'll probably be less likely to make flippant choices, to think it doesn't make any difference. And I would tell you that choices are cumulative. No one wakes up in the morning and says, "You know what? I'm going to become an adulterer." Ooh, I went dark real fast. But anyhow, no one wakes up that and says, "I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cheat on my spouse." You know what happens is they make small choices that they thought didn't really matter much. It really wasn't a big deal. But cumulatively, it takes you down a road that you don't want to go down. Let me just bring you to an Old Testament story. Do you remember if you read through the Exodus, the children of Israel, they leave the promised land. They wander in the wilderness for a long time, and finally Joshua takes them across the Jordan into the promised land, this land that God said, "I've given it to you and to your descendants." They have this great victory in Jericho, and then they go to Ai. So that's the name of the town, Ai. So this is the first Ai ever mentioned in the history of the world. So, but it's not artificial intelligence. It's just the name of the town. And God tells them that they're go to do battle, and they are to not take any of the plunder. They're to allow it to be utterly destroyed. They take nothing for themselves. Well, one of the soldiers, named Achan, he decides, not a big deal, to take a little something for his family. And I mean, come on. Why would you allow all this wealth to go to waste? And it's just one little, bit of gold. It's just one little treasure that I'm going to keep buried in my tent so that this will secure my retirement. And Well, he does that, and they go and do the battle again. They battle against another community, and they lose terribly. I mean, they are routed by the enemy, and Joshua and the leaders go before the Lord and say, God, why has this happened? We had the great victory in Jericho, and Ai fell to us. Why is it that we have lost? I thought you were giving us the land. God reveals to them that somebody disobeyed God. They made a poor choice, and because of that, they're going to continue to lose until this is rectified. Well, as it turns out, they discover that it's Achan, that he had buried some of the treasure. He gives it back, but it sounds brutal, and it is brutal, but what happens is Achan and his family are all killed. Capital punishment is applied to all of them. Now, here's the point. That small little choice didn't seem like any big deal. He was just taking what was going to be wasted anyhow. And why waste it? Why make such a big deal about this dumb little choice? That's what happens when we don't make choices with fear and trembling. Now, what's fear and trembling? Fear is the best word that they had at the time to really use the more modern word. And the word respect is actually a newer word in the English language. Since they didn't have the word respect then, they used the word fear and trembling. It means to respect God. It means to apply choices with a lot of thought, to really consider, would this honor God? Would this be something God wants me to do? My wife and I just bought not a new car, but a newer car recently, and we spent a lot of time praying about it, a lot of time asking God, is this how we should spend your money? Because we believe the money's not ours. We believe that it's God's money. All the resources we have are His. And so it took us a long time. We actually started out at trying to pick one model of car, one make and model of car, and over time, praying about it and considering it, talking about it, and talking to people who are smarter than us when it comes to choosing cars, they steered us towards another vehicle. So that car so far has been great, and we trust and pray that it's going to continue to be great. So I'm not saying, when you're at the grocery store, should I get Cheerios or Honey Nut Cheerios? I don't know that you need to be that ridiculous, but there are choices like when it comes to how you spend your money and budgeting and decisions for relationships and so on. Those kind of decisions, we really should make them matter, not make them small or trivial, not isolate those into the spiritual bucket, and then there's those into the I get to do what I want bucket. God wants to be involved in every decision in our life. So I would just encourage you to start with number 1, surround yourself with good counselors. Number 2, own your choices. Number 3, decide today with tomorrow in mind. Then finally, if you do those 3, I think you'll do this, the 4th one, and that is just make your decisions matter. If you do that, I think you'll find greater joy in your decisions and in your future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.